Before his death, Gregory Peck, Hollywood's enduring symbol of integrity, offered a surprisingly candid reflection on a man many considered his opposite, Robert Mitchum. To understand why his words carried such weight, you have to understand the life Peck lived. Born in 1916 in La Jolla, California, and raised largely by his grandmother after his parents' divorce, Peck grew up shaped by discipline, introspection, and a deep sense of moral responsibility. At the University of California, Berkeley, he initially planned to study medicine, but literature and theater called to him more powerfully. That calling led him to New York's neighborhood Playhouse School of the Theater, where he trained under the legendary Sanford Meisner, refining the emotional restraint and quiet strength that would define his career. Hollywood quickly recognized that Peck projected something rare: authority without arrogance, strength without cruelty. Films like Gentleman's Agreement and 12 O'Clock High proved he was willing to confront uncomfortable truths. But it was his portrayal of Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird that immortalized him. As the principled Southern lawyer defending an innocent black man, Peck didn't just perform. He embodied moral courage. The role earned him an Academy Award and became a cultural touchstone, aligning perfectly with the values he carried off-screen: fairness, compassion, and quiet resolve. Yet Peck was far from limited to solemn roles. In Roman Holiday, opposite Audrey Hepburn, he revealed warmth and charm. In The Guns of Navarone and The Big Country, he commanded epic landscapes, while later performances such as The Boys from Brazil showed a darker, more unsettling edge. In the 1980s, he embraced television with equal dignity, portraying Abraham Lincoln in The Blue and the Gray and the courageous priest in The Scarlet and the Black, roles steeped in history, conscience, and moral conflict. Off-screen, Peck's life was marked by devotion to family. He married Greta Kukkonen in 1942 and later found renewed love with French journalist Véronique Passani, building a blended family that grounded him amid Hollywood's shifting tides. Through triumphs and personal trials, he maintained the same composure that audiences admired on screen. So when Peck finally spoke openly about Robert Mitchum, people listened. For decades, the two had been cast as opposites: Peck the clean-cut moral compass, Mitchum the rebellious outlaw. But Peck dismissed that simplistic contrast. "People like to pretend we came from opposite ends of Hollywood," he reflected. "I was the conscience, Bob was the renegade." The truth, he insisted, was far more complex. Peck revealed that Mitchum, despite his laid-back drawl and reputation for defiance, was intensely disciplined. Beneath the half-lidded gaze was an actor who studied meticulously and understood the power of restraint. "That kind of control doesn't come from laziness," Peck noted. "It comes from intelligence." He believed Mitchum's sardonic humor wasn't cynicism, but armor, a shield against Hollywood's hypocrisies. According to Peck, Mitchum felt deeply, perhaps more deeply than he ever let on. The sadness in his eyes wasn't an act, it was the wellspring of his artistry. In Peck's view, Mitchum's so-called rebellion was actually honesty. He refused to play the game, refused to polish away his contradictions. If Bob had wanted to be safer, more respectable, he could have been, Peck said softly. But then he wouldn't have been Robert Mitchum. It wasn't a scandalous confession. It was something rarer: respect. When Gregory Peck passed away peacefully on June 12, 2003, he left behind more than a catalog of classic films. He left a standard of integrity, proof that greatness in art is not about image, but truth. And in his final reflections on Robert Mitchum, he offered one last lesson: legends are not defined by the roles they play, but by the courage to remain themselves, even when the world insists on a simpler story.